Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a podcast by Practical E-Commerce.
What's going on, Internet? Eric Van Holtz back again with another E-Commerce Conversations. Hope all is going well on the other side of the Internet. On the other side of the podcast, I got Matt Reynolds, founder of Barbell Logic, one of my good friends. Hey, man, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah. I'm super stoked for this. For our listeners who don't know, Matt and I go way back to a conference called Minfluential, and he challenged me that no one over 6 foot should weigh under 200 pounds, which I did. And I've subsequently started using Barbell Logic as coaching. But why don't you give a real quick 30-second pitch about your company, where you're at, how you've grown? And
Sure. So I was a gym owner since 2008, sold my gym in 2015. I'm really glad I'm not a gym owner in 2020. With the craziness of COVID. Started doing online coaching in January of 16. And so we're about to have our 5-year anniversary. And we've got a staff of about 80 expert, unbelievably amazing strength coaches. And we do very high-touch concierge, what your listeners might think of as personal training. Everything comes across an app. We do programming for our clients. You video yourself for all your major lifts and movements. And then we break those down within 24 hours, usually via a screen recording so that you can see what we're seeing and we voice over that. And so Barbell Logic is the brand. We also have a pretty good sized podcast, also Barbell Logic, and it's gone really well. We also have an academy where we teach up and coming coaches how to become professional barbell coaches as well. And so gone very well. We've got a little over 1,000 clients and, like I said, about 80 or so staff members, employees at this time. And so it's been an absolute blast. Love what we do.
yeah, I don't know the space very well, but when I first heard about it, it seemed pretty innovative to build a network of online coaches. I would imagine the operational challenges of, the standard, and I kind of think of this from opening up a barbershop, is every barber's different, right?
Yep.
So every coach, I assume, is a little different. How do you maintain those standards to make sure that...
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm very particular about systems. I've told you this before, that I'm a standard operating procedure guy. And for me, it actually takes a weight off of everybody's shoulders because I don't have to micromanage then. And so we have the standards listed. It's not just a thing that's in the back of the employee manual that we never talk about. We know what the basic standards are and how to bring the best customer service that we can possibly bring in the online sphere, while at the same time giving the flexibility to allow these expert coaches to do what they do great at. And so, it's more the Harvard model than the McDonald's model. Not every coach is exactly the same. It's not a cookie cutter template-based program. We hire the best coaches in the world and we let them coach. And as long as they follow the basic standards, which are things like we always give feedback within 24 hours, we don't have people flailing around on Bosu balls and doing one-legged squats and stuff that's going to get them hurt. And so we have a philosophy of keeping it pretty simple, hard, and effective. And so we stick with the basic lifts like the squat and the deadlift and the bench press and the press and basic conditioning, like rowing or riding an echo bike or things like that. And so if 90% of what they do is sort of in that wheelhouse, then that extra 10%, there's some flexibility there. And then, of course, we try to match our clients with the coaches based on personality. And it's very important to us to match our clients up with the right coach because I want you to like your coach. I want you to be able to want to go have a coffee or a beer with your coach, even if they weren't your coach. And so we try to pick up on the little nuances of the original questionnaire that a client sends in and look at their geography, where they live, what their demographic is, what their goals are. There's a lot of things you can pick up about somebody even when you don't ask them specific questions maybe about what they're like and what they want to do for fun. And are they a family person, or are they single? Are they living in a big city? Do they live in a rural area? And then we try to match them with a coach that specializes in their type of demographic and their type of person. And that really helps us keep our churn low. And so that also is a big place where that freedom of personality and flexibility of the coach comes into play.
Now, when I think about your business model, I think about what an opportunity 2020 could have been versus like the gym in person. Have you seen a big boost in the amount of online training, or how have you been handling this situation?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's been interesting for us because before COVID, about 60% of our clients trained at home anyway. We're very pro home gym, home training. We love the idea of families training together, spouses training together, neighbors or friends training together. We like that idea. And it's not a major expense. When you've done this in your own house, you buy a squat rack, you buy a barbell, you buy some weights, you might spend a couple $1,000s. Then that's it. And those things last forever and they have great resale value. And if you think about the value of your time to get in a car and drive 15 minutes to the gym and then wait for the squat rack and have to deal with all the ridiculousness that's going on in a Globo gym, we just see that there's tremendous advantage of training at home. So for our people that train at home, they were fine, but about 40% of our clients still trained at gyms. And, for really pretty much the entire United States. And we're a little over 20% international. So really just about the entire world. For the better part of 2020, the gyms have closed down. And so we've had to work around that. So we have certainly seen a tremendous boost in home gym training and the need for online coaching for people who are training at home. But we've also had to deal with, what do you do with these people who now don't have a gym to train at? They live in maybe a major city and they live in a 550 square foot micro apartment. And so we just had to, kind of think outside the box and be intentional about, we do workouts holding 50-pound dog food bags and swinging milk jugs and doing the best we can to try to maintain levels of fitness for our clients so that they can come back and succeed when they're able to get back to the gym. And, of course, at the same time, there was this tremendous supply chain issue with equipment. You just couldn't buy equipment in the United States for the most part. There were very few equipment manufacturers in the U.S. Demand was extremely high and supply was low. And for the vast majority of equipment companies in the United States, outside of that, they're bringing in their equipment from China. And so there was major supply chain issues. So it's been weird. It's kind of been, we've seen kind of polar opposites with our clients. The ones who have been able to train at home or are already doing that have thrived. And the ones who are at gyms, it's been a little bit of a challenge, but it's gone pretty well for us. And we've continued to grow in 2020, probably not at the rate that some of the equipment manufacturers have. If you sell equipment, you're killing it right now. Your biggest issue is that supply chain issue. So
yeah, I would imagine there's going to be like a little bit of a lag before these people build their home gyms and realize they don't have the accountability or the program to stick with it, and they start seeking out you guys. So I can imagine 2021 is going to be a quite banner year as people, invested a couple $1,000s into their home gym and aren't using it.
Yeah, they need some accountability. That's right. Well, and it's interesting because, we know this with all the, putting pitch decks together and whatnot, that only 17% of people in the United States that have a gym membership actually use it once a week. And this is pre-COVID numbers, right? So I'm sure it's significantly less now. And one of the things that we do at Barbell Logic is we keep very meticulous compliance numbers on our clients. And we know that our clients, on average, at a 90-day and lifetime average, hover right around 87% compliance. And that's not just compliance in that they're doing each workout. It's that they're doing every exercise and every set and every rep of those exercises in all of their workouts. And so that's really the thing that's made the biggest difference, I think, for our clients from a goal perspective, is that if you can get people to actually commit to training and be consistent, have that accountability there, and then you pair that with really good form, which is what we're really known for, is that we are one of the only online coaching companies in the world that actually breaks down our clients' form and make sure that they're squatting correctly and deadlifting correctly and are going to do things they're not going to hurt themselves, then they make tremendous progress. Reading a magazine on the treadmill isn't going to do it for you. Yet that's still what most people do when they go to the gym.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed about you guys is the content that you produce. You already mentioned you've got the podcast, but in going through the program, like, you have every single exercise you could ever imagine. You've done a video on it, on proper techniques and well thought out. Talk about how that's been part of your strategy and the effectiveness of it.
Yeah, and this is one of the things I think that you and I talked about years ago when I saw what Beard Brand was doing. We are not a content company, right? We're a service business, and we're a people company. We serve people. And so for us, the content was always going to be free, but the content needed to be a free value add. And so both for people who are not clients yet, maybe pre-clients or future clients of Barbell Logic, we wanted to put out everything that we knew about strength and conditioning and the fitness world and nutrition via very high quality free content. So we have a YouTube channel that does pretty well, and the quality of those videos are extremely high, and they're relatively short videos to watch. We are quickly approaching, I think, our 400th episode on the podcast. The reason it's called Barbell Logic, it was a logical and systematic walk through strength training and all things fitness. And so you can really start at the very beginning, and you get sort of the most elementary sort of philosophy about strength training and fitness. And then we have an incredible collection of articles as well, We've got a great editor-in-chief who writes a lot of our articles. He's fantastic. He was an attorney and works for us full-time now as our editor-in-chief. And so we've got this pretty solid collection of articles, videos, and podcasts. We want to be the place where if somebody needs to know how to do something, how to squat or how to eat or how to program, or what do I do when the first day comes that I go to the gym, or why do I need a belt, or how do I use a belt, or how do I put on weightlifting shoes? We've got videos and podcasts and articles for those things. And so for us, that content is really the thing that builds the trust with our community, knowing that if we continue to build trust and put out high quality content, that many of those people will convert and become clients for us.
So speaking of community, how are you building that? Is it just purely organic, word of mouth, or are you pumping some money into it through paid acquisition?
Yeah, we do both. Certainly, you'll never get better referrals than from word of mouth from your clients and coaches and whatnot, and that's still where we see a lot of our conversions come in. We do have a pretty good relationship with a handful of people who have been very good for us, guys like Brett McKay from Art of Manliness. I've been Brett's personal coach for about 5 years, and Brett never wanted $1 for sending people to us, and eventually I forced him to take it. He would just sing our praises, and people would come and sign up. We've been on his podcast several times, and so that's been great. But yeah, we've got a full scale marketing team at this point, social media team, graphic designers, a chief marketing officer, and we use paid as well, mostly through Facebook, Instagram. We have also used Google and YouTube, but our ROI is not quite as good there. That's becoming a little more expensive. But the other thing is we rank very high from just an organic SEO standpoint for really all things strength training. And so if you search squat or online coaching or online strength coaching, we're number one, or we're in the top 3 in almost everything that you can think of. And so it makes it a lot easier. You don't really have to advertise using Google AdWords anymore and these pay-per-clicks if your SEO is number one, because you're the one that's going to get clicked on anyway. So we worked really hard on SEO, constantly making updates to our website, and Google sees that and rewards us for that. So we put out a lot of ebooks. I always hated it when I downloaded an ebook and it was just every other page felt like an advertisement for the company. We don't do that. We don't advertise at all for the company in the ebook. There may be a short or a very small call to action at the end of the ebook for people who've actually read through the thing. And so, we've put out ebooks on things like back pain for people who have back pain, or ebooks for people who need to shed fat and body composition. We're a company that really focuses on strength training and fitness as a means to improve health and quality of life, not just aesthetics. Everybody wants to look better, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for us, our primary goal is to make sure that people's quality of life improves. And so I think that's also allowed us to skew in a demographic standpoint a little older. And so our kind of average demographic is that maybe late 30s, 38, 39 to about 60 to 55 or so. And that's a great demographic to have because they're settled in life. They're not flighty. They don't get tired of strength training after 6 months and go do hot yoga or CrossFit or Peloton or whatever. And so they tend to stay. They're financially stable, and so they can continue to pay for a premium product. I mean, we're one of the more expensive online coaching companies, and it's because of the high-touch service that you get. I mean, we pass a massive percentage of that down to our coaches. We want to pay our coaches well. And so it's worked very well. And I'm very proud of what the marketing team has done and how they've been able to reach our audience and continue to grow.
Going back to the coaches, last we talked in person, your coaches was really a huge bottleneck, like getting people who are familiar with the program. And you've gone ahead, you've built an academy for that?
That's right. We saw that the bottleneck was coming. When you set up a service business that's based on experts, then the nature of that is if it goes well, at some point, the demand is going to outstrip supply. If you built a business on expert classical pianists, how many of those are there? It's really the same case with expert strength coaches. And so it's hard to explain to people who don't really understand exactly, but just imagine an expert from a knowledge and technique standpoint strength coach, like what you would think of a strength coach for a professional sport, for NFL or NBA or maybe a Division I coach. But those guys are also often known as sort of kind of like they're the loud yellers and they're tweeting the whistle. And so we want to have all that knowledge and more sort of expertise in the technique and the programming. We want to train our clients, these people who are 40 to 60, like athletes. But then we want to do it with incredible customer service. And so finding a coach, there are a lot of people who are great at customer service, and there are not as many people that are great at coaching, but to find the people who are great at both, it's a very small group of people. And so for those group of people, they can really command just about any price that they want because of how good they are at what they do. And so we pursue people like that. And there has never been anything to help teach people how to do that. You can't go to school to become a strength coach. And for universities who have bachelor's degrees in things like exercise science or kinesiology, there are massive holes in those. And so we've decided several years ago in October of 18, we could see the writing on the wall that the bottleneck was coming and we were not going to have enough expert coaches. And so we've created the Barbell Academy, which helps teach people starting at the enthusiast level, people who aren't even sure if they want to be professional barbell coaches, and teaching them all the basics they need to know about how to do this. And then we continue to have continuing education via master's classes and, deeper portions of the academy. You might think about it like a master's degree for people who very much want to be professional barbell coaches. And now we offer our own certification called the Professional Barbell Coach Certification. I think it's one of the hardest to get in the world, but if people have it, then they are absolutely outstanding. And my coaches in general, I'd love to take a little more credit for this, but our coaches are just incredible people and they're highly educated. We've got a bunch of doctors, PhDs, and medical doctors that are on staff for us that are now full-time coaches. We have mathematicians, people who have like PhDs in physics, engineers, mechanical engineers. My VP of operations was a high-level executive at Boeing and left Boeing a couple years ago to work for us full-time after working for us part-time for a while. And so you're not talking about the 22-year-old kid with the polo that has the name tag that says trainer. We're talking about very high-performing strength coaches. And so it's very difficult to create an academy that can produce that. And the reality is that everybody that comes to the academy doesn't become that. It's still a very low percentage. But we've certainly created a path for people to become expert professional barbell coaches. And so, for every 100 that go through the academy, you're probably going to end up with 5 or 8 or 10 at most really expert coaches. But that's 5 or 8 or 10 more than you would have had. So we're proud of that product. That's one of those ones I just don't care much about making any profit or any money off that. That's one of those investments for us that if it breaks even, I know in the long run, I'm going to need those people to work for us in the future. And for them, there's a great incentive because our coaches get paid very well. They get paid per hour. There's no commute. They can do it from the comfort of their own home. They can do it on vacation. They've got good Wi-Fi, then they can do online coaching. And so especially in a year like 2020, when so many trainers are out of a job, these great coaches have a place to work and they can make far more money per hour online coaching than they could training in a gym anyway. Even if they live in a very high income area, they still make more money for us coaching online. And so that also allows us to sort of pick the cream of the crop of the coaching world because it pays very well for them.
So the academy, do you guys charge for interested?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can consider it's really kind of like curriculum, so it's really cheap. It's $79 a month for 12 months, or you can pay a cash price up front, $849. And that's basically the curriculum for the principles course in the academy. So that's basically all of the basics or foundational things that you need to know to be a coach. And then there's a sort of a tier 2 master's classes that we have on things like anatomy, kinesiology, biomechanics, programming, the business of coaching, things like that is a deeper dive. And so up till now, we've done those by master class, but coming soon, there'll be a tier 2 where people can just basically pay a basic monthly rate again for probably 12 months and then have access to all of those master classes forever. So as we update those classes, and that is now on a full online learning environment, very nice, very high tech, cutting edge, but very easy to use. And so people can learn at their own pace. So for some, it may take them 6 months to get through the academy. For some, it only take them 2 months and so on and so forth. And then for the master's classes, they can pick and choose what they need. So if they need to bone up on their anatomy, they can do that. Whereas if they need to bone up on their business of coaching and things that are difficult that, I'm sure you went through just like I did, nobody was really there to teach me how to file an LLC or get my EIN number or how to open a business bank account. And so we walk our coaches through that so that they can do that and have somebody that knows how to do it and kind of ease the pressure off.
Is this learning online or in person?
Nope, it's all online.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all online, which makes it great, again, because we have so many internationals. And what we were doing for a long time is we did a Zoom class call once a week. And so most of the work and the assignments are online, and we do a 2-hour Zoom call. But we found, even I've got a guy in Belgium that's showing up to the class on Sunday night for me, and it's 3 a.m. for him. And so we found it better, and we listened to our students that said, man, we would really like a self-paced online learning environment that we can do on our own schedule. And then we offer mentor calls with the coaches and professors that teach it if they need to have some of that one-on-one for a very discounted rate for the students. And so that seems to work better to have a little more flexibility there. So for people who are in these strange time zones, they can do it at their own pace.
How are you evaluating the talent? Is there just online quizzes that they have to take?
That's a great question. So there are quizzes or tests throughout the course. At the end of the course, if you pass all of the tests and all the quizzes, you'll have a certificate of completion, sort of like a diploma. If you do very well, you'll be invited to take the written test for the professional barbell coaching certification. And for our certification, the written test is only one of 3 tests that you take. So there's a written test, there's an oral examination, and then there's a platform test where you actually have to coach in person on a platform at one of our seminars. For students who do very well in the academy, they get invited to take the written test. If they pass the written test, then we bring them on as paid interns. They don't make great money, but they get paid well, and then we can watch how they interact with clients at kind of our lowest tier of coaching. So, and that runs about $119 a month to get coaching from one of our associate coaches. And after they have coached for a minimum of 3 months, and it's usually more like 6, and then they come to one of the seminars and pass the platform, which is very, very difficult. On average, a typical seminar of 25 people, we might have 1 or 2 pass the platform. So this isn't like, we don't get 23 out of 25 pass. It's very, very difficult to pass the actual coaching on the platform. But for those that pass, they then become a full staff coach at Barbell Logic. And so that's how we've continued the feeder system. And, I would love to pass more than what we pass, but I cannot reduce the standard to anything less than absolute expert coaches. And so we'll just continue to work to help these students pass and become expert coaches rather than dumb down the standard.
So people can do multiple opportunities to pass and...
Oh, yes. They can come numerous times. They can take the test as many times as they want to. And the test changes every time, so it's not like they can memorize the answer. It's not multiple choice. It's all kind of short answer and essay. And so it's virtually impossible to cheat on. And so we are certain by the time they pass all 3 sections of the test that person is for sure an outstanding coach. And so it's gone really well. And then there seems to be this sort of family or social club of people who have this certification. They know that they've done this thing that's the hardest thing you could do in strength and conditioning. So it's created a good community.
You're finding these coaches through paid acquisition, or is it also through your organic content?
We've done almost no paid ads for trying to find coaches. At this point, I think we are well known enough in the industry, and there's enough known about what we pay our coaches that we have a ton of people come to us who are trying to earn this certification and become staff coaches at Barbell Logic. And the other nice thing it's done for me is that I almost never have to interview somebody for a job. I mean, unless it's a promotion from inside the company, I have already seen that my coaches are great coaches because we watch them as a student in the academy. We'll watch them as an associate coach, / intern for the business. And then when they graduated and successfully completed all the tests, they become a full staff coach. And we know at that point that they're great workers. And, not everybody is allowed to get to that point. If you're an associate coach and you're working with us and you don't have great customer service, you've got a higher churn rate than normal. Certainly, it's not super cutthroat. We work with you and we try to help you succeed and get better, but you can tell pretty quick within a couple of months if somebody's just not quite fitting in. And so it's much easier for everybody on both sides if it's not working out with an associate coach because they're not performing at the level that they should. And really for me, that's more about the customer service. We can continue to help refine their coaching skills, but if they don't have the right personality for this, and it's tough to be able to connect with people online and, not in person at a gym. And so it's probably the single toughest thing to do as a strength coach. It's made it nice because I just get to offer people jobs. I never have to interview coaches because they've already worked for us, and I've seen them as a student and an intern and whatnot. So that's been great.
If you don't mind me asking, this academy seems like a ton of investment and work. Like, how long did it take to build that out, or how much in resources did you put to it to make it happen?
It's a lot. And then we're on the 3rd permutation of the curriculum as well. So what we internally call, we don't typically say this out loud, but what we call the Academy 1.0, 1.5, and now 2.0 is the online learning environment. And so, complete rewrites of the curriculum is 26 full modules, almost like big chapter lessons. But again, I've got a great staff and, we have expanded into the B2B markets and military, corporate government contracts. And I'm so terrified that the government's going to come to me and say, hey, we have 2,500 soldiers we need you to train. And I go, I can't do it because we don't have the people to do it. And we might have to do that at some point. We're not going to reduce the service, but I also want to make sure that I have a pipeline to build these coaches. And so for us, it was a worthwhile investment. To put it in perspective, just the Academy 2.0, the online learning environment, it's been a full-time job for 3 people for the last year with not a lot of return on investment there yet, because until it's ready to go, then it's not there. But at the same time, just imagine if we need to close a large corporate or government contract and we can't because we don't have the coaches. It's probably the most important thing we're doing right now. And beyond just the business for Barbell Logic, sort of what it does for us from a revenue perspective and allowing us to have the largest repository of expert strength online coaches in the world at our company. Honestly, man, it's good for the fitness world. The fitness world needs this. It's rife with misinformation and bro science. And the more great coaches we can make out there, then the more we can battle those things. And so I used to be a little worried that I was creating some expert coaches that would eventually become competitors of mine. And I'm sure that's actually true. But we're at the size now and the staff is so incredible. I was trying to think of a good example, and that's going to sound extremely arrogant. I don't mean it this way, but it's like if somebody went to Jeff Bezos and said, hey, I'm going to build the next Amazon, right? He would go, okay, go ahead. And we're not that at all. And it has nothing to do with me at this point. It has to do with how incredible our staff is. But man, we've got 80 staff members that are very high functioning and firing at all cylinders. It'd be awfully difficult to compete against that. And we're not complacent, and I don't want to, rest on my laurels, but I want to produce people who are great coaches that can help change people's lives. And if some of those people become competitors of mine down the road, I'm just not too worried about it.
Well, they're making it better as well by kind of, like you said, cleaning up the whole bro science and creating a healthy environment.
That's exactly right.
You had some partner issues, some drama, some lawsuits. Do you want to open up and talk about that? Are you able to talk about that?
I can a little bit. When I ran the gym, when you had 3 partners and you would talk about issues and have to make decisions, and 2 of us always sided together, I could see how that grate on the third after a while. And so his family was in a position to try to buy us out. At the time, it was devastating because it was my gym. It was my baby that I had created in 2008. And I was really the guy that did most of the business stuff, and that's where I really fell in love with business. I didn't know anything about it at the time, and just kind of read every book I could get my hands on. And so looking back, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, getting bought out of the gym. And then I did online coaching. It was very successful for the first year. It wasn't called Barbell Logic at the time. I went to my mentor and wanted to pay for a license agreement to be able to use his brand name. So we agreed to do that, and went very, very well for several years. But our business ended up growing, I think, faster than they expected it to. Eventually, they filed a lawsuit. Of course, this part is public. They filed a lawsuit for trademark infringement, and then they decided to pull our license agreement, and they just kind of pulled it one day. And, they sent us the letters and certified mail. About a month later, they sued us for trademark infringement because we still had so many podcasts and videos on YouTube and articles that referenced that brand name. That was June of 19, and it ended in June of this year. And so, again, can't give much more details to that, but I'm happy that it's over. And 2020 has been a very good year for us.
Yeah. So would you say like going through that legal battle kind of moved the business sideways where you're not able to focus on the growth or?
Oh, it is modern day warfare. It is the most stressful thing I've ever gone through in my entire life. It was not good for us financially. And certainly we lost clients, we lost revenue, and your attention in things, there's a budget. You only have so much you can give. And when you're going through a process like a discovery process where you're gathering 35 or 40,000 documents over the course of 10 years, just the time it takes, and there's nobody else that can do it because no one else is allowed to see it. I mean, it was a tremendous amount of work. But the flip side of that is that once we got through it, there was this tremendous weight lifted off our shoulders. And then not just that we were through the lawsuit, but that we were really free as a brand and as a company to be who we were. We didn't have to align completely with the old brand that we had a licensing agreement with. And so our company ethos is different. I mean, we are, again, very much a people company. We are customer service company first. And, we sort of broke the chains. And so it's been great. Content, have freedom there, freedom to really be a people company and distinguish ourselves as something different. And, people ask me all the time about some of these tough relationships that I've been in business over the years, if I would do it any different. And honestly, I know it sounds crazy, but the answer is probably no. So much of who we are now was made up because of having to go through those difficult times. And I think that going through those times, if you're doing the right thing, and we didn't do anything wrong in any of those situations. And so we were very much refined by the process. Boy, it made our leadership team so much tighter. It made our staff closer together. And I lost some staff over the deal in the very beginning. But once that sort of purge occurred and we lost some staff, we lost some clients, those that were left behind, which was still the vast majority, became a very tight-knit community. Yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm very thankful.
Sweet, man. Where can people learn more about you, follow you?
We are easy to find. Barbell Logic. Again, I'm Matt Reynolds. You can find my email address right on the website. You can go to the team and see everything about us. This isn't about trying to land clients. I love business at this point, and this is a business podcast. For us, you can see what we're all about. You can see our core values on our website. You can find me, Matt Reynolds. You can check out our podcast, Barbell Logic, or our YouTube channel. It's Barbell Logic everywhere, Instagram, all social media, and would love for you to just reach out. And again, for us, it's more about providing value to people via that free and excellent content, more so than closing the deal right now. We're not looking necessarily for that. So if you want to see what we're about and check out our content and our core values and see who we are, that would be wonderful.
Sweet, man. Well, I hope our listeners were able to pick up a tip or two. I certainly did about building the academy. As always, this has been an e-commerce conversation. Thanks for listening. Cheers. Keep on growing.